Welcome back to Well, What Do You Know? Today we're jumping into part 2 of my conversation with Livv Seddon. Even though Livv and I barely knew each other when we sat down to record, the conversation flowed so easily that it became a 2-part episode. In part 2, Livv dives into the college recruiting process, her time as a player, her coaching career at Kansas State, Iowa State, and Oregon State, and the transition into her current role working with young athletes. It's a great second half. Here's part 2 of my conversation with Livv Seddon.
So let's talk about the recruiting process. How many schools were looking?
Well, it's so funny because now that I'm in that part of the game with my job, it's like I don't remember my processes.
Really?
Like I don't remember. I mean, granted, things have changed so significantly. I had one highlight tape for my entire career. And yeah, I mean, I would just email coaches. At the time, we had this website. It was called College Fit Finder. So it was very high tech for the times, but you could put in anything. So if I wanted to go to school in only specific states, right? Or I wanted to study this, like it would narrow down schools, and then I could kind of just like focus on those. And like if I liked them, I'd look them up, I'd do my research, and then I'd obviously email those coaches if I was interested. I never really knew as a kid, I guess, what schools were good other than North Carolina, right? Every kid wants to play in North Carolina, but there was never, I don't know, I guess I just never knew what the best schools to go to were. So I just wanted to go to school in Colorado. I wanted to go to school in New York. Like I just
Places that you're familiar with.
Yeah. I mean, I was really open because we moved so much. I was like, well, I love to travel. Like I'd love to, definitely did not want to be in California. So that was not on the table. So yeah, I just narrowed it down like that and just kind of had conversations as coaches were interested. And I really liked that side of the recruiting process, was talking to the coaches, because the relationship that I would have with my future coach was probably one of the highest things on my priority list.
Sure.
I think I knew myself as a player and knew I needed to have a good relationship because I ask a lot of questions. I really want to understand, so that was big on my list. And you
ended up at Northern Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you remember the first time you met that coach? Or a coach from because the head coach can't start recruiting right away, right?
Right. Well, technically back then, I actually don't even remember. I mean, back then you could get recruited as early as 8th grade.
Okay.
So that they've changed that now to June 15th of your junior year. But you can still email coaches and they can send you like school or camp related stuff.
Sure.
There's some gray areas. But I think he first saw me at Surf Cup, which is like sort of a somewhat big tournament in Southern California. And then we just started chatting from there. And then I actually met his assistant, I think, first at a event in Arizona. She saw me score this really great goal, and I was like, thank God she saw that. I was like, I hope this helps me get recruited. But, I don't really remember meeting him in person until, like, later when we had already really gotten, like, pretty deep into the process with that specific school. He came to one of my club games, so that was really cool. But
so did you allow yourself to have the great college experience, or was it all about soccer there too? And maybe those things don't have to be exclusive.
Yeah, I don't think again, it's just changed so much. There's just such a higher demand for nutrition, strength and conditioning, everything nowadays than it used to be. And I took it really seriously. Like, I never went home in the summers. Like, I trained with my strength coach because I wanted to make sure I was staying on top of my stuff. But I had my time. I enjoyed my experience, especially when we had obviously COVID and things were shut down and things like that. Was more of a, I don't know what's going on, if we're even going to get to play. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the people that I lived with amazing roommates my later years of college, and they're still my best friends to this day. I just went to 2 of their weddings this summer. So that was more where I got my enjoyment, was spending time with them. And they were a good group because it wasn't about the college experience of going out and partying. It was more just like our living room was our sacred place.
Right.
Like anytime you heard, I lived in the basement, anytime you heard footsteps, like, oh, something's up, let's go hang out.
Right.
And then we had a bunch of dogs in the house. And so I would say I definitely got my full experience, more so because of people.
Were those roommates also part of the soccer team? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
They were all of them except for one. I had one roommate who was my age, and then the other three were a year below me.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned an injury junior year of junior year of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what you had to be like, oh, here we go again.
Well, thankfully it wasn't as bad of a break. I was only out for a few months, but I think it was more mentally hard because of the preparation that led up to that moment. I had a really, really good sophomore year. So I was really pumped about just junior year being like, all right, like let's get for real.
Right.
And just the way it happened, I was just like, come on. But it was hard. But honestly, looking back again, I think that's how I got into coaching, because I got to see a completely different side when I'm on the sidelines. And I did have a very good relationship with my coaches, so I was always asking questions, always kind of like in their business about stuff, just because I just love the game.
Does that make you a better player before you became a coach?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
As a midfielder, I always felt like I had to just always know everything, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I loved doing film. I loved watching soccer, even if it wasn't our games. So I think it gave me a different appreciation for the sport, because I also then, but also even more so when I became a coach, was a little bit humbled to know kind of what goes on. As a player, you just show up to training, you do what the coaches tell you, and you go home, versus like what actually goes into having a good team, being successful, all of those things. So it was cool.
So you got to peek behind the curtain a little bit and see what your coaches actually do for you.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
Yeah.
So
then after college, at what point did you realize, hey, I want to try this coaching thing?
Honestly, when I got injured, I was like, this is really cool. I had kind of chatted with my college coach about, he's well connected. He's been specifically at Northern Colorado for, I believe, over 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And he's been coaching forever. So he's very well connected. And I was like, I'm kind of thinking about this. Like, I actually really like it. And I couldn't imagine doing a job that wasn't connected to soccer.
Yeah.
So I got my degree in sports and exercise science, because I was like, that is the best pathway, I think, to anything connected to sports. Yeah. So I was like trying to think what I could do. And I think my senior year, I had to make a decision. I obviously had my redshirt year because of my injury. But my senior year, I had to decide if I wanted to use it. And I was like, I didn't really have to decide. I knew I was going to use it. But I had to figure out what I was going to do, because I was graduating. So I needed to get my master's. And it so happened that they had a master's in sports coaching. Oh, wow. I was like, well, I have to try, Like, thankfully, I was lucky enough to be on a scholarship, so that helped. But, yeah, and then I took that. It was definitely different than what I thought it was going to be. But I got more opportunity to be in different types of coaching roles throughout that, because you had to do that for some classes. And I think that pretty much solidified, like, this is what I want to do.
So what and where was your first paid coaching position then?
Paid?
After college, yeah. Or, okay, maybe not paid.
Okay. I was going to say, I wish it was that easy. No, back then you had to start out as a volunteer or a GA.
Okay.
Because I was still playing during my GA years. Uh-huh. I was a volunteer. So my head coach knew the associate head coach at Kansas State. They were good friends. So he connected me with him. They were hiring for a volunteer. Never been to Kansas, so I was like, sure. And that was my first big school experience too. That was awesome. So, but yeah, that couldn't have asked for a better starting point in my coaching career. Every single one of the coaches were very different and had a lot of strengths, and I think they just kind of gave me full freedom to just get involved with everything. They trusted me. We had good relationships, so that really, I think, set me up even better for my future in coaching, because they were just so, here you go, whatever you want to do, and they helped me and guided me, and so it was good.
But full unpaid volunteer.
Yeah, Yep, I got paid experience.
Was that a 1-year gig or how many?
Yes.
Okay.
It was 1 year.
So did you have to work outside of that?
I did not during season, just because I got to travel and everything with them and be a part of the team completely. So that was cool. But in spring, I did get a job. I bartended through college, so I had experience. So there was a Mexican restaurant in town. Shout out Taco Lucha. It's amazing. It's so good. But
In Manhattan?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I bartended there throughout the spring/summer until I basically was on the hunt for my first full-time position.
Okay.
So
I'll talk about that.
yeah, so that actually was at Iowa State here in Ames. That's when they kind of changed the rule from volunteer that now it's a paid position.
Okay.
So I just missed it by a year.
Yeah.
But it's okay. And now it was called like player development.
Okay.
So that's technically what they had to call it. You're still an assistant coach. So that was good. I was a little bit more in a specific role though. So it was less of an assistant coach of where I kind of was involved with everything and more on the player side of like IDPs, doing individual film, positional film, like things like that. Because we had a DOPS, which was nice, but so anything player related, I was the focused.
You're throwing some acronyms at me.
Sorry.
So IDP, Individual
Development Program.
Okay. And then what was the other one?
Our
Okay.
director of ops. So
Okay.
she did most assistants,
Sure.
and a lot of colleges obviously have to do like the travel or the food and whatever. So we had a DOPS, which not a lot of schools have. So that was phenomenal. She handled all that because now having had done that at my last job, that's a lot on your plate when you're trying to focus on soccer. So very thankful that we had that. So.
How long were you at Iowa State?
I was here for a year, so I did a fall season and a spring season, and then just kind of wanted to continue to develop and kind of get involved in more parts of the coaching. So
And move to a different location again?
yeah, I just said why not?
Why not?
That's really the life of a coach, though, especially
Yeah.
early on in your career. Most people will jump around every few years until they're kind of seasoned as a coach and can kind of ground themselves and
Right.
put their roots down and be at a program for a long time. So I knew that going into it, and I was okay with it because I love to travel. So
Yeah. So then you went to Oregon State, is that right?
yep,
Yeah.
go Beavs.
How long were you there?
I was there for also a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a great experience.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon was my place. I think outside of soccer, it's a phenomenal place to live. I'm a very outdoorsy person. I have a dog who loves being outside. So that was really awesome. The situation was a little bit interesting when I took the job because the head coach, they were changing head coaches at the time, which is why I got the call because the assistant was taking the interim head coaching job, and she was a friend of the associate head coach at Iowa State.
Okay.
Who knew that I was leaving Iowa State and was like, well, I have a candidate for you. So she reached out to me, and I was pretty sold on it, but the only kicker was that it wasn't security of a job because we had to do well in the fall because she's interim for her to get the
Gotcha.
because when we're connected as an assistant to a head, so if she doesn't get the job, I don't get to keep my job.
Right.
So it was a little bit of a gamble, but it was a really crazy season. We ended up doing well towards the end and like really doing well. We didn't start out very hot. That's okay. We changed a lot about the program and how we're going to play, but did really well in conference. She got promoted to official head coach, and so I got to keep my job, thankfully. And yeah, and then we just went into spring season. And again, that role there, I was involved with everything, which is phenomenal. I, again, got an even bigger appreciation for coaching and everything that goes into it. And it is exhausting. That's kind of what led me to get out of it because it just was so demanding in terms of time. But I absolutely loved it. I loved the recruiting. I loved the relationships that I had with the players. I mean, we still talk all the time. Their senior night is coming up. I was trying to make it out there, but it's around also the time my sister's having a baby and all this certain stuff. So,
Sure.
But yeah, I think it was a phenomenal profession, and I'm very fortunate to have had that time and experienced that. So.
Hey everyone, it's Eric from the Well, What Do You Know podcast. You know, one of my favorite parts of this show is getting to sit down and hear real stories from real people, because when we actually listen, we find out we're not so different after all. If you've ever thought, hey, I've got a story worth telling, or you know someone who does, I'd love to hear from you. Just check out the description of this podcast and you'll find my link tree. In there is a guest form to fill out. And keep in mind, there's no cost involved, and I bring the studio to you. So fill out that guest form. I'd really love to talk to you.
So talk about how NIL, because you were coaching when that became a thing, right?
Yep.
Talk about how that changed the landscape for you.
Yeah, well, I could talk about it from a couple different sides. It was also new because it started to become a thing when I was my last year as a player.
Okay.
And the way it's transformed into what it is now, I think is really detrimental to the future of college athletics. So I definitely struggled with it as a coach because it made it not about the sport anymore,
Right.
which was really hard. You could put your heart and soul into a player and develop them, and they'll take a better offer for $1 million at another school and maybe not play. Like, it's just...
Is that a specific example? You don't have to name names, but is that a specific example where you worked on somebody and thought we had her?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't blame her at all. Like, she ended up being a phenomenal player, and she went to a great school. So it's not even like a sour feeling. It's just like, that's the reality that a lot of people are facing, because I think back to myself, like, I'm not going to turn that down, right? And it wasn't $1 million. I don't know what it was, but like, it was definitely more than our program could ever offer. So I think also it's hard as a coach too to compete. Especially the Division I level, so many you have to win to keep your job.
Right.
So to get good players in, right, and to keep them. We even recruiting, we're like, if we get this player, like, we're going to be so good, blah, blah. But then it's like, well, we know she's going to come in and smash it 'cause she's a phenomenal player. But then are we at risk of her doing so well that other schools are going to want her
Sure.
and then offer her money? Because I wish everyone did everything by the book, and that's not facts.
Right.
And so it's hard to keep players there, I should say. Like, again, I'll never blame a player for taking a better offer elsewhere, right? Like, that's just the reality of the world. But it's hard to stay competitive.
But you can't blame a coach for making that offer when it's against the rules. Yeah, okay, we can move on. Yeah. So how did you make your way back to Ames?
Yeah, so once I kind of got out of coaching, the assistant that I had at Oregon State, Kwame, he is also very seasoned in the coaching world, and so he kind of a old player that he used to coach turned assistant coach. So he was also in the college game. They've been buddies for years. He was a part of an agency that does recruiting for high school aged men and women to get recruited to go to college. And that was one of my biggest things that I loved about coaching. So I was like, I just want to learn more about what he does. So he kind of got me into contact with him, and we started chatting. I really liked it. And then they were like, well, we're trying to expand our women's side. And so we ended up basically working together, and it is remote, so I can live anywhere. And my partner obviously still works and lives here, so I figured it was silly not to be back.
Right.
If I have the ability to, being remote. That's why I left before, was for a job, but I had nothing keeping me out here. So yeah, I just moved back, and now I work remote, and everything's good.
Explain that. So you work remote, but are you trying to develop and get kids from here recruited?
So I work for an agency called ADC, the Players Agency. It is a Canadian-based agency, so obviously there's a bigger pull for international kids, because it's harder for people in the States to go watch them. So that's kind of where it originated. And now we do work with people in the States, again, both on the boys' side and the girls' side. And our biggest thing is, so I do work remote, and we just educate and place, again, that age of players and kind of help them understand the landscape, the timeline, like everything that goes into it. But we're providing everything for them. Okay. So like these kids do not need to send another email ever again. You know, we're meeting with them all the time via Zoom, obviously, and just kind of talking to them about where they're at in their process, getting to know what they want out of the school, like all of these things, so that way we can better serve them. Because the biggest part is, like, obviously we want them to go. They're the ones attending the school. They're the ones playing the sport. Like we want to tailor their recruiting process to them.
Okay.
And so we do also go to events. So all the events that I went to as a coach we'll also go to, and that's mainly to, you know, get our name out there, but also gain and keep relationships with the college coaches.
Right.
So because we use our network, we're all ex-college coaches, which is really cool. So we'll go to these events and meet other college coaches. They get to know our face. They get to know kind of our background, what we do. So that way when we have our players that we're wanting to promote, you know, these coaches know who we are.
Sure.
If they don't already from when we coached. Right. So, yeah, it's kind of mainly remote, but also we get to kind of show our face and our brand and things like that when we have events.
Okay.
So
you miss coaching? The hands-on player development coaching part of it?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I still watch it all the time. It's usually on Wednesday through Sunday. There's always games. So I'm attached anytime, whether it's on my phone, my computer, whatever. But I do. Especially, I went to an Iowa State game, and I saw all my old players. Right. So that was really nice. I even drove to Nebraska to watch Oregon State play Nebraska. Okay. So I got to see all them, and they didn't know I was coming either. So that was really nice. Yeah. But, yeah.
You thought about coaching at the high school level around here? I
have. I think it would be a good outlet for me, and I'm not saying I'm not ever going to college coach again, but I think I just needed to kind of take more control over like my personal life and like that type of thing. But also understanding in this job as a recruiting agent, like the different levels. I always thought, Division I, right. But there's a little bit more freedom of schedule and less pressure at other divisions while still being able to impact and develop players. And also there's a less pressure to have to win to keep your job.
Right.
So you can spend more time developing, which was my biggest part of why I wanted to coach. Right. Like I wanted a kid that I coached to leave the year or 2, 3, however many years they had with me, having learned something, having had a good experience, and so yeah, that's the part that I miss. Yeah. So I thought about it because I thought about club as well, but I wanted to kind of see how this goes and if I have time to do that, and I think I'll think about it. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, we've been at this almost an hour, believe it or not, but I want to finish out with a question that I normally ask people. And this is your chance to really shout out somebody or 2 or 3 people, right? Okay. So give me those people that, as you look back, and you're still very young, I know that, but give me those people that have influenced you, have made sure that you are the person that you are and brought you here today.
Dang, yeah, that's a good one. I obviously mentioned my sister. I think she influenced me in a different way than like a parent or a teacher or something like that, because she had to do everything first. Right. I learned everything by watching her, and I think that's very special because she had no one telling her what's right, what's wrong. She just had to live it and then learn from it, and then I didn't have to go through the bad stuff because of her. So, right. And she was always a good kid, so I never had to obviously learn anything bad, but yeah, she's just an amazing individual, and I look up to her in every single way. And I would say my dad as well. I've never met somebody who just puts the world on his back. Yeah. He never complains. Like, I mean, my mom, she's a stay-at-home mom because, again, our family values are very much like we are very close. We want to spend every moment. So she worked up until we were born, really, and took care of us. I have a great relationship with her. So my dad has obviously been the one providing and has just worked his ass off. Excuse me. But so he... And it's hard, to just start from the bottom and continuing to motivate yourself every day to, work his way up. And he does it with such grace, too. The way he treats his employees, everything. He'll go back to branches he used to work out from years ago, and there's still people that work there, and they're, so happy to see him. Really? So it's, I think I've learned how to build relationships because of him. He's always left a place better than... is that right? He's left a place better than... he found it.
Right.
That's the saying. Yep. And I would say my last one is both my grandparents.
Yeah.
I think their relationship as a couple is so genuine. And my grandma has since passed, but my grandpa is 98. And I've never met an individual who, loves life more than him. He is 98. He still drives. He goes to his Cosmopolitan Club. He goes to Fish Fridays with his neighbors. He goes to church. He serves his community. He keeps his brain sharp. I just visited him the other day, and he was reading a book it was how to do Excel for dummies, because he wants to make sure he can keep his things organized and doing all those things. And he just takes full control over his life, and he's just so happy to be alive. And I think that is just the cutest thing. Obviously, he's 98, so he's a cute old man, but it's just such a precious thing to see how great of a grandfather he's been, how great of a dad he's been to my mom, and then just how he chooses to live his life. And I just think that's amazing.
It sounds like you have great role models to not only look up to for day to day, but also in relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Very lucky.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this. You are my first podcast interview of someone that I didn't know previously.
Really?
Yeah. So
I'm honored.
This is really cool. And I hope that this, branches out and gets me more
absolutely.
people like you, because you prove my point. Everybody has a good story. You just have to sit down and take the time and listen to it.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Livv.
of course. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Well, What Do You Know? The podcast created to tell people's stories. Everybody's got a story, and every story is worth saving.
The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Well, What Do You Know podcast, P Square Design, Pagitech LLC, or our sponsors. The Well, What Do You Know podcast, its parent company, and its sponsors are not responsible for any statements made by guests during the recording or publication of this episode.